The F-16 soared through the sky, a lone guardian patrolling the vast expanse above the Arabian Sea. The pilot, callsign Razor, kept a vigilant eye on the radar, scanning for any potential threats. Suddenly, a blip on the radar screen shattered the calm. A missile launch, trajectory unknown, origin unknown. Razor's heart raced as the warning system blared through the cockpit. Adrenaline surged through his veins. This was no drill. The missile, likely fired by Houthi rebels from their stronghold in Yemen, was fast approaching. Razor had mere seconds to react. His life and potentially the fate of the mission hung in the balance. Razor pulled back on the stick, throwing the F-16 into a steep climb. The G-forces pressed him hard against his seat. He could feel the missile closing in, its heat signature growing stronger on his instruments. This was too close for comfort. But Razor was a fighter, trained to stay calm under pressure. He pushed his fear aside and focused on survival. The F-16 screamed through the air, a silver dart against the azure canvas of the sky. Razor executed a series of evasive maneuvers, each one a desperate gamble to shake off the incoming threat. He jinked left, then right, pulling the F-16 into a tight spiral. For a moment, he thought he had lost it. But then the missile reappeared, still locked on, relentless in its pursuit. The missile was approaching rapidly, its path unmistakable. Razor knew he had a single opportunity, one moment to evade it. He had to act fast. His training took over. He recalled the simulations, the endless hours spent preparing for this exact situation. He needed to make the missile overshoot, to fly past him and explode harmlessly in the open air. With nerves of steel, Razor pushed the throttle forward, pushing the F-16 to its limits. He pulled back on the stick, sending the jet soaring upwards. The F-16 climbed like a rocket, its engines roaring defiantly. The altimeter spun wildly as Razor pushed the aircraft higher and higher. He could feel the pressure building in his ears, the thin air making it harder to breathe. But he couldn't let up. Not now. The missile followed, its guidance system struggling to keep up with the F-16's sudden change in altitude. Razor held his breath, his eyes glued to the instruments. The distance between the F-16 and the missile was closing, but the angle was changing. It was working. The missile was overshooting. At the last possible second, Razor slammed the stick forward, pushing the F-16 into a nosedive. The world spun around him as the jet plummeted towards the sea. He could feel the G-forces pulling at him, threatening to rip him from his seat. But he held on, his grip on the controls unwavering. He had to time this perfectly. A second too late, and the missile would detonate, engulfing the F-16 in a fiery explosion. The missile streaked past overhead, missing the F-16 by a hair's breadth. Razor let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. The attempted strike on the F-16 sent shockwaves through the US military. This was not an isolated event. It was a deliberate escalation, a dangerous provocation that demanded a response. Orders from the highest levels of command were clear: retaliate swiftly and decisively. The might of the US Navy was to be unleashed. Within hours, the USS Arleigh Burke, a guided missile destroyer patrolling the region, was assigned its target. A known Houthi missile site hidden among the rugged mountains of Yemen. The destroyer, a marvel of modern naval technology, was armed with Tomahawk cruise missiles, each capable of delivering a devastating blow with pinpoint accuracy. The ship's captain gathered his crew, his voice resonating through the ship's intercom. This was not a drill. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the Arabian Sea, the Arleigh Burke moved into position. The atmosphere on board was tense, the air thick with anticipation. In the ship's Combat Information Center, sailors huddled around glowing screens, their fingers flying across keyboards. They tracked the target, ensuring its location and confirming there were no civilian structures nearby. The order to fire was given. High above the battlefield, a squadron of F/A-18 Super Hornets and unmanned aerial vehicles silently scanned the ground below. Acting as the eyes in the sky, they provided essential intelligence to ensure the mission's success. The F/A-18s, armed with sophisticated radar and electronic warfare systems, disrupted enemy communications and searched for threats. Their pilots, highly skilled and vigilant, were always ready to counter any emerging threats. Meanwhile, The UAVs, stealthy and precise, delivered real-time surveillance of the target area. Equipped with powerful zoom lenses, their cameras could identify individuals and vehicles from great distances. The data collected by these aerial assets was sent back to the Arleigh Burke and command centers worldwide. Analysts meticulously examined the data, creating a comprehensive picture of the Houthi missile site. They pinpointed critical infrastructure, including radar systems, missile launchers, and ammunition depots. This intelligence was vital for planning an effective strike. With each moment, the noose tightened around the Houthi missile site. The U.S. military had eyes everywhere, observing, waiting, and ready to strike. Section 5. Shifting sands, from defense to offense. The missile strike on the Houthi position marked a pivotal moment in the conflict. It indicated a change in U.S. strategy, moving from a defensive stance to a more assertive deterrent approach. The message was unmistakable. Any attacks on U.S. forces would be met with force. For years, the U.S. military's role in the region focused on counterterrorism and supporting allies. The Houthis, seen as a destabilizing element, were not considered a direct threat to U.S. interests. However, the missile attack on the F-16 changed that perspective. It showed that the Houthis were prepared to target U.S. forces directly, escalating the conflict significantly. The U.S. response was swift and decisive, aiming to reestablish deterrence and show that such actions would have serious repercussions. The decision to adopt a more offensive posture was made with caution. It involved the risk of further escalation and potential unintended consequences. But the U.S. military determined that the risks of inaction were even greater. Section 6. A miscalculation with consequences, the Houthis' strategic blunder. The Houthi leadership made a critical error in judgment. They underestimated the U.S.'s determination and failed to foresee the intensity of the response. The missile attack on the F-16, meant to demonstrate power, disastrously backfired. Buoyed by their successes against the Yemeni government, the Houthis had become overly confident. They believed they could target U.S. forces without triggering a significant retaliation. They were mistaken. The U.S. response was swift and devastating, highlighting the misjudgment of their actions. The missile strike on their base not only obliterated crucial military assets, but also delivered a stark warning. The U.S. military demonstrated both the capability and the resolve to retaliate with overwhelming precision. Section 7. The price of aggression. Understanding the lasting impact. The fallout from the Houthis' error was swift and extensive. The missile strike on their base inflicted a major setback, crippling their military strength and hindering their war efforts. The attack also severely restricted their operational freedom. The looming threat of U.S. airstrikes forced them to scatter, hide their movements, and curtail their activities. Their ability to surprise, once a crucial advantage, was lost. Additionally, the incident further alienated the Houthis on the global stage. Section 8. The future of warfare. Insights gained and the road ahead. The missile misfire incident served as a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of modern warfare. It demonstrated how quickly conflicts can escalate, the critical importance of clear communication and deterrence, and the severe consequences of mistakes. The event also underscored the evolving nature of warfare, with technology playing an increasingly significant role. The use of drones, advanced radar, and precision-guided weapons highlighted the growing importance of intelligence, surveillance, and precise targeting. The lessons learned from this incident will continue to shape U.S. military strategies and doctrines moving forward, emphasizing deterrence, rapid response capabilities, and a robust intelligence network will remain essential. The incident also highlighted the necessity for ongoing diplomatic efforts to address the root causes of the conflict in Yemen.